The gravity calibrator whined in protest as Maya Solano adjusted her stance on the lunar surface. Ancient structures loomed before her, their geometric precision defying the 3,000 years of cosmic radiation that had weathered their surfaces. She double-checked her oxygen reserves, 4 hours remaining, more than enough to document the newly discovered chamber beneath the main temple. Base camp, this is Solano. Beginning descent into structure Alpha 7, she reported, her voice echoing inside her helmet. Copy that, Dr. Solano, responded Tomas, her research assistant monitoring from orbit. Remember protocol, no touching anything until full spectral analysis. Maya rolled her eyes. After 15 years as the leading independent archaeologist in the Cassiopeia sector, she hardly needed reminders about basic procedure. Understood, base camp. The chamber's entrance was narrow, barely accommodating her environmental suit. As she squeezed through, her light illuminated something unexpected, fresh damage to the ancient stone. Not erosion or natural decay, but the distinctive scorch marks of energy weapons. That's impossible, she whispered, scanning the patterns. Nobody had been to this moon in centuries, at least, no human expedition. A soft scraping sound drew her attention deeper into the chamber. Maya hesitated, protocol dictating she should retreat and report any signs of recent disturbance. Instead, curiosity propelled her forward. In the central chamber, she found him. The being was humanoid but clearly not human, iridescent blue skin, elongated limbs, and most striking of all, eyes with vertical pupils that reflected her light like mirrors. He was injured, silver fluid leaking from a wound in his side, his breathing labored. My God, Maya whispered, instinctively reaching for her medical kit. The being flinched, raising a 6-fingered hand defensively. I mean no harm, she said slowly, unsure if he could understand. To her shock, a voice responded directly in her mind. They will return. You must leave. Maya stepped back, stunned. You're telepathic? Please. The mental voice was weakening. They track me. Against every regulation and protocol, Maya made her decision. I'm going to help you. My ship is nearby. Forbidden, came the pained response. Your kind must not interact with mine. Well, looks like we're both breaking rules today, Maya replied, activating her emergency medical stabilizer and attaching it to the alien's wound. I'm Maya Solano. Do you have a name? A hesitation, then, Nivek. I am called Nivek. Base camp, this is Solano, she said into her comm, making a split-second decision that would change everything. Prepare medical bay for immediate use. Classified situation, encrypt all communications from this point forward. Doctor? Tomas sounded alarmed. What's happening down there? I'm bringing back a visitor, she replied, helping the weakened alien to his feet. And Tomas? Tell no one. This discovery stays off record. As she guided Nivek toward the surface, his telepathic voice brushed her consciousness again. They will hunt us both now. The connection between our kinds is forbidden for a reason. Maya felt an inexplicable shiver, not of fear, but anticipation. Why are they hunting you, Nivek? His luminous eyes met hers through her visor. Because I questioned. Because I wanted to know your species. They fear what comes when worlds touch. As they emerged from the temple, the twin moons of this distant world cast long shadows across the ancient plaza. Maya knew she was crossing a line from which there would be no return. Yet something about the mysterious being leaning against her compelled her forward, away from safety and protocol, toward an uncertain future that beckoned like the stars themselves. Then let's give them something to really fear, she whispered, half to herself, as her ship appeared on the horizon. The medical bay hummed with unfamiliar activity as Maya monitored Nivek's recovery. His silver blood had confounded her ship's automated systems, forcing her to adapt human treatments through intuition and Nivek's telepathic guidance. "Your cellular structure is remarkable," she murmured, examining the sample under her microscope. "You heal faster than any species I've documented." "A necessity," Nivek's voice whispered in her mind. "Our history is one of adaptation and survival." 3 days had passed since their escape from the moon. Maya had told Tomas only the minimum, that she was conducting classified research requiring communication blackout. He managed the base camp operations without question, though his concerned glances suggested growing suspicion. "You should rest," Maya told Nivek, noticing his luminous eyes dimming with fatigue. "Your wound is stabilizing, but your energy readings are still erratic." "Rest is difficult when one is hunted," he replied. Yet he reclined on the medical berth, his iridescent skin catching the light as he moved. Maya found herself studying his features, the elegant arch of his elongated fingers, the subtle patterns that shimmered beneath his skin like constellations. Different, yet hauntingly familiar in his expressions of pain, worry, and now, gratitude. "Why were you in those ruins?" she asked, adjusting his intravenous nutrient flow. "They're thousands of years old." Nivek's gaze met hers. "My people built them. We were here long before humans reached the stars." The revelation stunned her. "That's impossible. Those structures date to the pre-expansion era. Time flows differently for us. What you see as ancient, I see as recent ancestry." His mental voice carried a note of melancholy. "I am an archaeologist too, of sorts. I study connections between species across time." "Which is forbidden by your people," Maya concluded. "Yes. Contact creates change. Change cannot be controlled." His expression shifted subtly. "May I show you something?" "It requires mental contact." Maya hesitated, years of scientific caution warring with overwhelming curiosity. "Is it dangerous?" "Not physically. But once shared, memories cannot be untaken." "Do it," she decided. Nivek's hand hovered near her temple, not quite touching. The air between them seemed to vibrate with energy. Then, cascading images flooded her consciousness. Vast cities suspended between stars. Civilizations rising and falling like cosmic breaths. Nivek's people watching, always watching, never interfering. And Nivek himself, questioning, reaching, being punished for his curiosity. Maya gasped as the connection broke, stumbling backward. That was. The medical bay door slid open. Elena Vasquez, Maya's security officer, stood in the doorway, her expression cycling from shock to alarm at the sight of Nivek. "Dr. Solano," she said slowly, hand moving to her sidearm. "What is that, and why wasn't I informed?" Before Maya could answer, the ship's alert system blared to life. Tomas's panicked voice came through the intercom, "Maya. Unidentified vessel approaching at high velocity. They're broadcasting some kind of signal I've never seen, it's bypassing our communications firewall." Nivek sat upright, his eyes wide with fear. "They've found me." Maya looked between Elena's suspicious glare and Nivek's desperate expression. The line she had crossed was now a chasm, widening with every second. "Elena, lower your weapon," she ordered. "This is first contact, not an invasion. Protocol requires." "Protocol doesn't cover this." Maya moved protectively toward Nivek. "I need you with me, not against me." On the monitor, the approaching ship accelerated. Its design was unlike anything in human records, organic and angular simultaneously, seeming to bend light around its edges. "They will not negotiate," Nivek warned, his mental voice reaching both women. "To them, I am contaminated now. And you have seen too much." Elena flinched at the telepathic intrusion but didn't fire. "What does that mean for us?" Maya felt something new forming between herself and Nivek, a connection deeper than words, forged in the brief sharing of memories. Something precious and dangerous. It means, Maya said, making her decision, that we run. Propulsion at maximum. Tomas, plot a course through the debris field. Maya shouted as their research vessel shuddered under the strain of full acceleration. The pursuing ship, Nivek's people, had closed half the distance in mere minutes. That field is suicide at these speeds, Elena protested from the tactical station. The navigational sensors can't process fast enough. I can help, Nivek offered, still weak but standing beside Maya at the command console. My perception works differently. I can see paths where your instruments cannot. Maya nodded. Do it. The telepathic connection flared between them, stronger than before. Through Nivek's perception, Maya saw the debris field transformed, not as obstacles, but as a flowing pattern with clear pathways hidden within chaos. Tomas, adjust course 3 degrees port, then sequence the following navigational points, she ordered, relaying Nivek's guidance. The ship lurched, then slipped between massive asteroids with barely meters to spare. Behind them, their pursuer hesitated, unable to match the precision of their flight path. It's working, Elena whispered, watching the distance increase on her tactical display. The moment of triumph was short-lived. A focused energy beam lanced past their ship, a warning shot. They will not be deterred, Nivek warned. This is but one vessel. They can summon others. The communications array activated without command, overridden by an external source. A face appeared on the main screen, similar to Nivek's but older, features set in cold determination. When it spoke, the words manifested directly in everyone's minds. Unauthorized vessel. You harbor a criminal of the alien Concord. Return him immediately. Maya stepped forward. This is Dr. Maya Solano of the Independent Archaeological Corps. We rescued an injured person. Under interstellar humanitarian protocols. Your protocols do not apply. The one you shelter violated our prime directive against cross-species entanglement. The contamination spreads already. The alien's gaze fixed on Nivek. You know what must be done, Specialist Nivek. Return, or they will suffer the consequences of your selfishness. Nivek straightened, his wound clearly causing pain. Elder Tavik, they are not involved in my research. Grant them safe passage, and I will return willingly. No. Maya objected. The thought of surrendering Nivek sent an unexpected wave of anguish through her. What will happen to him? The elder's expression remained impassive. Purification. The connections he has formed will be severed. His unauthorized memories extracted. Maya felt cold dread spread through her. You mean a lobotomy? We mean preservation of cosmic order. You cannot comprehend the dangers of unregulated telepathic connection between species. The elder's mental voice hardened. You have one orbital cycle to comply. Then we will reclaim him by force. The communication terminated. Silence fell over the bridge. Maya, Tomas finally spoke, his voice shaking. What have you gotten us into? The real question, Elena added, is what are we willing to sacrifice for someone we just met? Maya looked at Nivek, feeling the fragile bond between them, a connection she couldn't explain yet couldn't bear to lose. Through it, she sensed his resignation, his willingness to sacrifice himself to save her crew. There has to be another way, she insisted. Perhaps there is, Nivek replied privately to her mind. But the cost may be higher than returning to my people. One orbital cycle, Maya declared to her crew. We have that long to find an alternative. As the others dispersed to their stations, Nivek approached Maya, close enough that she could see the faint patterns shifting beneath his skin. Why risk everything for me? He asked. Your career. Your ship. Your life. Maya couldn't answer with words. Instead, she allowed her emotions to flow through their telepathic connection, her wonder at the universe, her loneliness among her own kind, the spark of recognition she felt when their minds first touched. Nivek's eyes widened. This is precisely what my people fear. This uncontrolled resonance. Is it really so dangerous? She whispered. His expression was solemn. Yes. But also beautiful. The Helio station is politically neutral and maintains an asylum protocol dating back to the Orion Accords, Maya explained, projecting the station's schematics above the briefing table. 20 hours had passed since the ultimatum, each minute heightening the tension aboard the ship. Elena studied the approach vector with a skeptical expression. Even if we reach it, there's no guarantee they'll grant protection against a species they've never encountered. It's our best option, Maya insisted. Nivek can make his case directly to the station council. They can't ignore first contact with an advanced civilization. Tomas rubbed his temples, exhaustion evident in his posture. And if they refuse? We're risking interspecies conflict based on your connection with him. Maya felt Nivek's consciousness brush against hers. He had been monitoring his pursuer's communications, a task that left him drained but provided valuable intelligence. They are summoning reinforcements, he reported. 3 more vessels converging on our position. We must move quickly. The plan was desperate but straightforward, a high-velocity approach to Helio Station, followed by an emergency docking procedure that would force the station to engage diplomatic protocols before the Alliance could intervene. Prepare for acceleration, Maya ordered. Tomas, plot the most direct course to Helios. Elena, ready emergency codes for asylum request. As her crew scrambled to their positions, Maya helped Nivek to the medical bay. His condition had improved, but the mental exertion of monitoring his people taxed him severely. You need to conserve your strength, she told him, administering a stimulant adapted to his physiology. There is something I must tell you, Nivek said, his mental voice strained. About why my research was forbidden. Maya checked the corridor to ensure they were alone. I'm listening. My people evolved as telepathic symbionts. In our early development, we bonded with another species on our homeworld, enhancing both our evolutions. His gaze was intense. That species is extinct now. They became dependent on us, and when a plague affected our numbers, they could no longer function independently. You're saying telepathic bonds create dependency? More complex than that. The neural pathways adapt, evolve. The deeper the connection. He hesitated. Maya, have you experienced unusual sensations since our mental contact? Perceptual shifts? Thoughts that don't feel entirely your own? The question struck uncomfortably close to truth. She had been experiencing flashes of alien memory, moments of perceiving colors beyond her normal spectrum. Is it dangerous? She asked. It is irreversible, he answered. And progressive. This is why the elders fear contact. Not conquest or cultural contamination, but neurological integration that neither species can control. Before she could respond, the ship lurched violently. Elena's voice blared over the intercom, ambush. They've cut off our approach to Helios. Maya and Nivek rushed to the bridge. On the view screen, 2 alien vessels had appeared directly in their path, with Elder Tavik's ship closing from behind. Surrender the deviant, came the mental broadcast. Your protections are meaningless. Evasive maneuvers. Maya commanded. Tomas, find us an alternative route. The ship banked sharply, but energy beams lanced from both alien vessels, striking their propulsion systems with surgical precision. Alarms blared as systems failed throughout the ship. Direct hit to our primary drive. Tomas reported. We're dead in space. Maya felt Nivek's consciousness expand dramatically beside her, reaching outward with desperate intensity. "Stop this!" he projected, not just to Elder Tavik but to all aliens within range. The pursuing ships hesitated. Through their connection, Maya felt the immense mental pressure Nivek was exerting, far beyond what he had shown before. He wasn't just communicating, he was compelling. Elder Tavik's voice cut through the mental static. "This is why you must be contained, Nivek. Your abilities have progressed beyond acceptable parameters. You influence rather than communicate." "I influence nothing," Nivek countered. "I merely show them the truth you hide. Our history. Our potential. Our fear." Maya gasped as images flooded through her mind, the Aliens' ancient past, their devastating wars using telepathic weapons, their self-imposed isolation to prevent such horrors from spreading across the galaxy. "They're not hunters," she realized aloud. "They're quarantining themselves." Elena stared at her in confusion. "What are you talking about?" "They're protecting the galaxy from themselves," Maya explained, understanding flowing through the connection with Nivek. "And Nivek threatens that protection because he believes connection between species is possible without destruction." Nivek collapsed beside her, the mental exertion finally overcoming him. The pursuing ships closed in, no longer firing but preparing docking procedures. "Maya," Tomas said quietly. "What do we do now?" She looked down at Nivek's unconscious form, then at her loyal crew who had followed her into this impossible situation. There was only one place left to run. "Set course for the Nexus drift," she ordered. "Maximum emergency power." Elena's eyes widened. "The drift is just a myth. A place where outcasts disappear." "It's real," Maya insisted. "And it may be our only chance." The Nexus drift materialized from the darkness of deep space like a fever dream, a sprawling collection of ancient ships, asteroids, and habitats fused together into a nomadic space colony. It had no official recognition in any star charts, existing in the shadows between jurisdictions where the dispossessed and the different could find refuge. Maya's damaged ship limped into the outermost docking ring, guided by encrypted coordinates Nivek had provided before lapsing into a healing trance. The alien pursuers had fallen behind, apparently unwilling to follow them into this lawless region. "We can't stay here long," Elena warned, eyeing the motley collection of vessels surrounding them. "This place has no allegiance, no protection." "It has exactly what we need," Maya countered. "People who understand what it means to be hunted for being different." Inside the drift, they discovered an unexpected truth. They weren't the first to encounter the aliens. A hidden community existed here, a sanctuary for telepathic species and individuals who had formed forbidden connections across species boundaries. Mira, a human woman with pupils like Nivek's, greeted them in the central hub. "We sensed your approach," she explained. "Nivek's telepathic signature is distinctive, even in unconsciousness." "You know him?" Maya asked. "We know of him. His research on cross-species telepathic potential is famous among those of us who live with the gift." Mira studied Maya intently. "And you, the connection has already begun in you." Maya felt exposed, vulnerable. "Is there a way to help him?" "The aliens want to purify him. Bring him to the confluence chamber. Others will help." Within a vast spherical room at the drift center, representatives of a dozen species gathered around Nivek's unconscious form. Their combined telepathic energy gradually revived him, his eyes opening to find Maya watching anxiously. "You found the sanctuary," he observed, his mental voice weak but clear. "You knew about this place all along," she realized. "This was your research, finding others like you. My greatest hope and my greatest fear." For 3 days, Nivek recovered among those who understood his abilities. Maya watched as he connected with the community, sharing knowledge and experiences impossible to convey through ordinary language. The bond between them strengthened, allowing her glimpses of a perception beyond human limitations. But with each passing day, Maya noticed changes in herself. Her dreams were filled with memories not her own. Her senses perceived energies invisible to her crew. She found herself responding to thoughts before they were spoken aloud. On the fourth day, Nivek sought her out in her quarters, his expression grave. "It's progressing too quickly," he said without preamble. "The neural adaptation in your mind." "Is that bad?" she asked, though she knew the answer. "Your brain was not evolved for telepathic connection. The changes are irreversible and accelerating." His mental voice carried profound regret. "Within months, you will be unable to function among your own kind without telepathic support. You would be bound to me, or to this community, permanently." The realization struck her like physical pain. "That's why your people are so adamant about isolation. Not just cultural contamination, but biological dependency." "Yes. Connection between our kinds creates beauty, but also asymmetrical need." His gaze met hers. "I was selfish to allow our connection to deepen. I knew the risk, yet I craved the understanding you offered." Maya felt tears forming. "What happens now?" "I can sever our connection," he said softly. "It would halt the progression, though not reverse what has already changed. You could return to your life, your work." "And you?" "I would remain here, among those who understand. The Elians rarely venture near the drift." "Would I remember you?" The question felt like tearing her own heart. "Yes. But you would no longer feel me. The resonance between our minds would end." Maya reached for his hand, their first physical contact since she had rescued him. His skin felt cool against hers, the patterns beneath it pulsing in time with his emotions. "And if I choose to stay? To let the connection continue? You would eventually become like Mira and the others, caught between species, dependent on telepathic community for stability. Your old life would be closed to you." The choice before her seemed impossible: return to the isolation of her former existence, or embrace a connection that would forever alter her very nature. "What would you choose?" she asked. Nivek's response came not in words but in pure emotional truth, his longing for connection, his guilt at the changes he had caused in her, and beneath it all, a profound care that transcended the boundaries between their kinds. "I would choose your freedom," he answered finally. "Even at the cost of our bond." 3 days later, Maya's repaired ship prepared for departure. Tomas and Elena waited at the airlock while she said her final goodbye to Nivek in the confluence chamber. "Will it hurt?" she asked, trying to memorize every detail of his face. "Briefly," he admitted. "Then, absence." She nodded, tears flowing freely now. "Do it." Nivek placed his hands gently on either side of her face. Through their connection, she felt his love, there was no other word for it, flowing between them one last time. "Some connections transcend neural pathways," he told her. "Perhaps someday, we will find a balance that allows both freedom and togetherness." "I'll continue your research," she promised. "From the human side." "I know you will." The severing was like a door closing in a room she hadn't known existed until meeting him. The silence in her mind felt deafening, even as her senses returned to their normal human limitations. Maya stepped back, already feeling like a visitor to a world she had briefly inhabited. "Goodbye, Nivek." He smiled, a gesture he had learned from her. "Goodbye, Maya Solano. The stars will remember what we discovered, even if they cannot yet sustain it." As her ship departed from the Nexus drift, Maya gazed out at the endless expanse of space. Something had been lost, but something remained, a memory of connection that would guide her research for years to come. And perhaps, someday, a way back to the being who had shown her that love could exist across the vast distances between worlds, between species, between minds. In the silence of her quarters, she began to write, First Contact Protocol, a new approach. The universe would hear their story, even if she could no longer feel his presence in her mind. It was, she decided, just the beginning.